we can start with the health of the squad, please. Bring us up to speed on this reported virus.
Yeah, well, we've been struggling to contain somewhat. The under-21s were hit by it earlier in the week, and we tried to obviously deal with it there and then. We closed their operation down to a certain extent. They haven't been in and around the building for the past 3 days. They won't be in tomorrow either. So we were trying to contain it, as I said, but unfortunately today, Asmir Begovic, Jeff Cameron and Phil Bardsley reported that they were feeling unwell with sickness and what have you. So we felt it best that, well, certainly Phil came in and was quite prepared to train, but we felt under the circumstances he was better served by returning home. Just trying to get over it. Asmir was ill in the night. Jeff Cameron was sick when he came into the building, so he went straight back as well.
Just to clarify, did Asmir Begovic go home too?
No, he didn't come into training. He was sick during the night, so he didn't come in.
Any idea what this virus is?
No, I mean, this could be the time of the year. It's just something that's around. We tried to sanitise the building on Wednesday. Went right through it, but obviously time of the year you can pick up things from your kids as well, so we're not quite sure where it's come from, but hopefully it's going to be a 24-hour thing and they'll be okay tomorrow.
Yeah, how much of a check are you taking on the rest of the squad? That you keeping constant monitoring what's going on?
Well, we have to. I mean, we thought we'd got over it, but obviously this morning that's put those thoughts on the back burner really. We're obviously trying to keep the impact of it to a minimum if we can, but we're at the mercy of it really. We're hoping nobody else will go down with it, but 24 hours time, who knows, we might have a similar situation with different people, we don't know, but we're hopeful that we've done enough.
Yeah, silly question probably, but how much has it affected your preparation?
Well, not so much in terms of what we were going to do today. Obviously, ideally you want everybody involved and everybody fit and well to take part and participate in the training, but all the work we did today is stuff that the guys know. It was just repetition of stuff we do anyway leading into games, so they wouldn't have missed any significant work to a certain extent, but obviously ideally we want everybody fit and well leading into a game. At the moment that's not the case, but as I said, we're hopeful that it's just a 24-hour thing and they can get over it.
And away from the virus, still plenty of injury problems as well. Weren't we up to speed with the likes of Mark Wilson, Eric Peters, Robert Who?
Mark Wilson and Eric Peters have trained this week, so I'm hopeful on them. Robert Huth is doing really well, very close to joining back in with the senior squad, which we're all delighted about. Obviously we were coming into a period of lots of games in a short space of time, so we're going to need bodies, so Robert coming back at this time of the year is a bonus for us. We've obviously going to miss Victor Moses for quite a significant period for us, so we need bodies coming back as well.
The assessment of the Burnley game then a week on, how do you look back on that now?
Well, as a performance, I was reasonably happy. I think we made mistakes, unfortunately, in the early part of the game, and they were capitalised on by Burnley. Got 2 very quick goals, and then it was back to the Wolves' job for them, if we're fair in our assessment of the game. Absolutely the dominant side, but we couldn't find a way through to get back on level terms. Got 1 goal back, and at that point I thought second half we would have enough and be able to overcome them, but they defended very, very well. Got blocks in at key moments and kept us at arm's length, and in the end we weren't able to get back on level terms or even take the game away from them. But in terms of performance, we just allowed ourselves to go behind in the game, and that's very difficult in the Premier League to come back. But in terms of moving the ball quickly and a Premier League performance, for the most part, I was fine with it, but we made mistakes and got punished, unfortunately.
Yeah, some big games coming up. Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal as well. Are the players, are you self-daunted or excited by those ones?
No, we're looking forward to it, man. I think if you look at our form away from home, it's arguably better than our home form. We played really well on our travels, and the big teams are always a test, but we're playing well. As I said, last week we didn't play poorly. We made mistakes, which can happen, but I don't think we played poorly. So confidence-wise, we're in decent shape, and that's off the back of a very good performance against Spurs the week before, where we were able to win comfortably, in my view. So we can go to the bigger teams with more resources in terms of playing staff, and we can give a good account of ourselves. We've already proved that this year.
Given what they achieved last year, are you surprised to see Brendan Rodgers under so much pressure?
Well, no, it's surprising the reaction of people. I think sometimes when people sense there's a little bit of pressure building, then everybody jumps on the wagon and tries to add to it. I think that's unfair, but that happens to all of us, so it's not something that Brendan is unaware of. He understands how it works. But I think when you lose the services of two strikers such as Suarez and Sturridge, then it's going to impact on you. I think last year, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was only 3 players in the whole of the Premier League scored more than 20 goals, and Liverpool had 2 of them. So that shows where their season was built, on the back of 2 outstanding strikers, and they haven't had those services this year. So it's obviously going to take a big part of their game away from them.
Is it easy to put your, obviously, how can you put your finger on a side that wins the away games and loses the home games? I mean, it's almost a reverse of how it was last year. Is there any reason why you seem to be more susceptible at home?
No, I think we've made fundamental errors. On almost every time we've made a mistake, we've been punished. Sometimes you can ride your luck and give up 2 or 3 good opportunities to the opposition. They miss them, and then you move on, and you can still win games. But it seems that every time we make a mistake, certainly in the home games, against opposition that maybe people would expect us to beat, then we've had a problem. And it's been more difficult for us to break down teams when they've probably just sat in there and got bodies behind the ball, and that's always difficult. It's not just us that finds that difficult. Top teams find that difficult as well. So it's more to do with the circumstances of the game, really. We've conceded key times in games, invariably gone behind in these games, and the first goal, you've heard me many occasions say how important scoring first is in the Premier League, and on too many occasions at home we haven't scored the first goal, because as the home team that's what you want to do, and then you ride the wave of the momentum that builds.
Tactically, will you play it the same at Anfield as you did at the Etihad and at White Hart Lane?
I think we approached those games in a positive manner in terms of our outlook and our belief in what we were going to do on the day. We had a game plan, we always do in away games, and they've served us well. We've been organised, we've been difficult to break down, but we've had a threat on the break, which we still have, even though we're missing the likes of Victor Moses at the weekend. So we've had success with what we've done on our travels. At times it can be a little bit easier for us, because I think with the players and the type of players that we have, I think it lends itself more to maybe a counter-attacking style of play than maybe trying to break teams down, which we found difficult at the Britannia.
You mentioned about your injuries and the people who are coming back. I mean, Glenn Whelan's had a bad injury, but he's now back, and in a sense the side has missed him.
Well, yeah, we did really well, obviously at Tottenham. Glenn wasn't available then. Steve Sidwell's come in and done really well, been really pleased with his impact. But Glenn is an experienced player, and we're delighted that he's been able to get back so quickly. A fracture of the leg obviously is a significant injury, and we probably, if we're honest, didn't expect him to be back so soon. But credit to him, he worked exceptionally hard and made sure he's available. He's had 2 weeks now. First week back, obviously you sense that he was still carrying the injury somewhat, but certainly this week there's no evidence that he's compromised by the injury, and he's for the most part I think he's over it.
Final question from me. I mean, I just wonder whether Liverpool's week bearing in mind what's happened last weekend, they've been to Bulgaria this week. Will that sort of fatigue play in your favour? I suppose you've also got the virus at your end to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, it can do. I think more so if you're involved in the Europa League. I think Champions League games are earlier in the week and they don't have such a significant impact in my view. They've got a big squad. They can manage obviously any number of games that they have ahead of them. There was a picture in the paper showing the strength of their bench, something like 100 million on the bench, so they do have resources that they can use. So I don't think it will impact too much on them. I think maybe the focus that seems to be on them at the moment, maybe that's something that they need to deal with, and if we can add to that, then we will try and do that. But they're an outstanding team, great players, so it's a tough test for us. But we proved this year that we can go anywhere and get positive results, so that's our intention.
Good, thanks.
Mark, some of the performances, maybe you said you've made some errors, but there have been some individual performances that have been really positive, like Bojan, for instance. What have you made of him in the last few games?
I've been really pleased with what he's produced. I think we had to be patient with him, but that's come to fruition now. I think he's enjoying his football. He's having an impact on games. I think his standing within the group is at a high level. It's certainly risen. I think people, or the team and the players themselves, understand what a talent he is, and if we can release him and let him have an influence on the game, then he's going to help us. So it's about working with him and working the areas that he has to be productive in, and if we do that, then we'll get an end product from him. And I've been really pleased. He's a good professional, great kid, wants to work hard, wants to have an impact, and we're really pleased with what he's producing at the moment.
There's an opportunity for some players to come in and make an impact now as well with the injuries, isn't there?
Yeah, well, obviously we're missing Victor. I mean, it's been a little bit frustrating for the likes of Arnautovic and Ozzy Asaidi, because through no fault of their own, they just haven't been able to break past Victor as a consequence of how well he's been playing. So it's been a little bit frustrating for the both of them, but there's opportunity now. They can see that it's up for grabs, and it's who makes the biggest impression on them.
You talked about consistency before the international break, or lack of, and you said that you're looking forward to the next part of this, games coming up. Is there a good chance now to really build a run? I know you've got some really tough games, but if you could get a win or 2 wins, then
Yeah. Obviously, I think what he's talking about is the stop-start season and the internationals or whatever, and I think it's impacted on a lot of teams, to be perfectly honest, not just ourselves. And I think now we've obviously got a lot of games in short succession of time, and we'll have to deal with that. But I'm happier that we've got more often than not, certainly in the new year, we've got clear weeks where we can have good work and leading into games, and there's not that disruption during the week of games and leading into games, which is something that I think we've all missed.
Mark, despite the Burnley results, there's still a chance of a really memorable season for Stoke this year. Are you still optimistic of sort of like top 9, top 8 finish?
Oh yeah. We look at. I think we're similar to many clubs. That if you look at the league table as it stands at this moment in time, I think there's any number of clubs that can look at the table and think, well, goodness me, if we'd have got 3 points there or an extra point there, then we would have been in the top 6. And I think certainly we feel very much and have that view ourselves, because we can look back, and you shouldn't do really, but it's too tempting to do. You look back at maybe QPR away, West Ham at home last weekend, obviously when we couldn't overcome Burnley. Big opportunities that we haven't taken, but I think in terms of how encouraged we are by what we're producing and how we're playing, I think we're at a good level, and I think we're still ahead of our points total this time than we were this time last year. So we're in good shape. We're set for a decent season, we feel. But what we don't want to do is look back at the end of the season and think, well, we missed opportunities, because that would be a shame. So we're going to have to make the games that we probably felt we should have got points in. We're going to have to make that up somewhere else.
what was particularly noticeable about the sort of Man City, particularly the Spurs game, was the really disciplined performance by your side. Do you think that's a sort of slight difference occasionally with a sort of like lack of concentration at the beginning of the Burnley game? If you could just overcome that, that's...
Yeah, well, I think there's a reason behind that. Obviously, we had a new back four against Burnley, and I think in that opening period, it was a period during the game where maybe people were just trying to get their bearings, and as a consequence, they were able to get two quick-fire goals. And I thought after that, the back four acquitted themselves really, really well. Well, you could say, well, the damage is done at that point, but I think it's just one of those things that happens. You try and lessen the risk by not giving opportunities to the opposition. But at the Premier League, invariably at some point in the 90 minutes, the opposition will get opportunities against you. It doesn't matter who you are. And when those opportunities are presented, you hope either defenders can get back in quickly, or your keeper makes a world-class save, or they miss. So it's how it goes, and you hope as the season progresses things start to run for you. At the moment we're getting hurt by every opportunity we give them. Okay, thanks.